Perfect. We're recording. Okay, so while we're waiting for the rest of the people to slowly show up, I wanted to go ahead and introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. My name is Andrea Ramos. I am a Girl Scout ambassador from Greater South Texas, specifically from Harlingen, Texas. So I'm right by the US-Mexico border. Um, so since May, I have been working on, well, as a Girl Scout, they have an opportunity for us to earn our Gold Award, which is just an award that recognizes a meaningful contribution to your community. So I had always been really eager to earn it. Um, and so I decided that for my Gold Award project, I would start Code Red, which is where I'm at now. And so I've had a bunch of team members help me from Code Red. And so I'm really excited to host this workshop. I'm really hoping it'll be educational for everyone. I'm going to let some of my Code Red team members introduce themselves. So you guys can unmute yourself and introduce yourselves.
Hello, my name is Jachika. I'm from Katy, Texas, and I'm part of our efficiency and impact development in Code Red. And I'm very happy to be here.
Hi everyone, my name is Mireya. I'm from Harlingen, Texas, and I focus on public relations. And today I'm going to be, asking the presenters or some of the guests we have some questions. So,
Hi, I'm Shreeya and I'm from New Jersey. So I'm the web page designer for Code Red, and I'm super excited for this workshop today. And I also
Is Joshua here?
yeah, he's here.
Joshua, can you please unmute yourself and introduce yourself briefly?
Hello, everyone. I'm Joshua, as you just heard. So yeah, I'm part of Code Red. I'm just helping with everything right now. So yeah.
So Jachika and Joshua are going to be helping me out with the mics. So I'm gonna ask that everyone keeps their mics muted, unless there's a time that you want to ask a question, then you can be unmuted. But when there's someone speaking or someone's presenting, they're gonna be helping me with that. And like Mireya said, she's going to be helping out with the questions. So in the chat box, feel free to ask some questions when, while we're presenting, and then hopefully at the end we'll get to them. Since it's 5:36, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here. People are still going to be coming in as the time goes, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. Let me see here. So we all got to introduce ourselves. I'm going to be hosting and moderating today. And Mireya, like she said, she's going to be helping out with the questions, and Jachika and Joshua are going to be helping out with the mics. And Shreeya will be monitoring the chat box. So today for our speakers, we're going to have 5 different speakers. Alexa Atkinson from Periods United, Andrea Elizondo from Menstrual Flux, Pritika, Ashley, and Saranna from the Texas Menstrual Equity Coalition are also going to be talking. So I'm really excited to hear from them. The first thing that I would like us to do today is to watch this brief video from Jubilee. I thought it was a really great video because in a short amount of time, it's really impactful in sharing how period poverty affects a lot of young women and menstruators in the US. So I'm going to try to play it. Can you all hear the video?
No.
Okay, give me 1 second.
I would skip school for 7 days because my mom couldn't afford to buy sanitary pads. As a result, I would cut pieces of my t-shirt to use as a pad. It made me feel worthless.
1 in 5 girls in the U.S. has missed school because of a lack of access to period products. In partnership with Always and Walgreens, we asked women to anonymously share their secrets related to period poverty and menstruation, then had other women read them aloud in order to spread awareness. Always and Walgreens are teaming up to help end period poverty. Stick around after the episode to learn how you can help.
I didn't know much about menstruation and cried the first time I got my period because I thought I had changed forever. I was really ashamed. I wish I knew more before that moment.
Growing up, I was never able to talk to my mom about periods nor ask her for supplies, so I had to ration them out in school. This led me to having 1 or 2 pads for the entire 7 days I was on my period, and often bleeding through my uniform. Yes, I also related this quite a lot as well. In high school is actually when I had to really start becoming independent. So I pretty much had to figure out how to ration all of my things. This included textbooks and the most essential part, pads. You know, the pads that the school was providing weren't very protective, so I'd always have to ask for like at least more than 3. It hurts my heart to think that there are women out there who have to struggle to get that kind of quality protection, you know, for their periods.
I would skip school for 7 days because my mom couldn't afford to buy sanitary pads. As a result, I would cut pieces of my t-shirt to use as a pad. It made me feel worthless. I would sometimes skip school as well when I didn't have any sanitary pads or like a tampon or anything. Money's tight, so can I afford to go get tampons, or do I ask my coworkers, or just suck it up till I get home and use toilet paper as much as I could?
I didn't have anyone to help or tell me about periods. I bought my first sanitary products by myself and have been doing this ever since. I never realized how expensive this actually adds up to be, especially buying for a younger sister. This meant that when I would have to buy new products, we wouldn't be eating for a few days. Wow, that's intense. I've been a broke college student, you know, I have $5 in my bank account, and then your period happens, and then what?
When I was living in a homeless shelter, women could only get 7 pads or 7 tampons for 2 weeks. I just thought that was completely unfair. So I started to go to every woman and told them they can come to me anytime because I would take supplies and put it in my room for them.
Every time I'm on my period, I stain at least one thing on most of the clothes I wear. My periods are very heavy and I have to change them every hour and a half, but I'm always nervous to ask my teachers. This experience makes me feel like crap. I hate it so much. Oh, goodness. I used to be immobile because of my period. I would have to miss school some days because I would just be so sick from it. Yeah, the stain thing too. We all do it. But I understand that that's really hard. That's really embarrassing.
I was in 7th grade on a field trip when my period started. I didn't have any products and bled through my clothes. A group of guys joked about it, causing everyone to laugh and point. I was so fed up with what happened that I had a mental breakdown in class.
Growing up in an Asian household, periods were a taboo to talk about and unconsciously made me hate myself more.
And I'm not allowed to enter the kitchen or pray during the menstrual cycle. It made me feel very ashamed.
So growing up Muslim, I can also relate because we have the cultural and the religious element. Women on their periods were seen as something dirty. That's like the perfect description.
And I just always believed that you cannot talk about your period in front of men, as if they don't know what it is.
But over time, I learned that that's just the natural thing that women go through. And the more I studied my culture and my faith, the more I realized a lot of that was just male interpretation.
In school, it was very different.
because we were all girls. It was more like a celebration. I remember I was the last ones to have my period and I was waiting for it. But any time outside school, outside the comfort zone, be super cautious if I'm staining or not, or feel a little bit gross about it.
I think it's kind of crazy to be ashamed of something you have no control over, even though I myself was ashamed of it for 15 years.
And I remember, like, after I left a homeless shelter and I found my own place, I just felt like I wasn't worth the products that I needed.
This is not something that women should be penalized for. We were born this way.
Especially girls who don't have access to menstrual hygiene products, that they're forced to use toilet paper or even socks or a piece of their clothing. It's so unhealthy.
I mean, everyone deserves to have a high quality life.
Our bodies are all unique and different to each of us, and how they respond to us is a beautiful thing.
I'm not gonna hide this time. Let's go to a male checkout. You don't have to hide what is normal.
These secrets represent only a small fraction of the millions of women who lack access to period products. P&G and Walgreens are working together to help address the issue and have already donated 6 million period products to girls in need. But there's still so much more to do. Between July 26th and August 29th, 2020, for every pack of Always or Tampax you purchase at Walgreens, Always will donate an additional period product. Thanks for watching.
Okay, let me see. Okay, was everyone able to see the video? Great. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen one more time. So yeah, I chose that video because I thought it was really impactful. The first time I watched it, I was really moved. And I think Jubilee did a great job in explaining how period poverty affects a lot of young girls today. Okay, give me one moment. Okay. Okay. I hope you all can see my screen again. Okay, so that was the first video. I kind of wanted to explain what exactly period poverty and menstrual equity are, because before I learned about it, I really wasn't aware of these terms and I had never heard of them before. It took a lot of independent research for me to figure out like there's a menstrual movement because I had never heard of it. So, period poverty, I got this definition from the American Medical Women's Association, and period poverty refers to the inadequate access to menstrual hygiene tools and educations, including but not limited to sanitary products, washing facilities, and waste management. When they say access to education, I also take that as cultural stigma can be associated with period poverty because for a lot of girls, like during the video, they mentioned that they're not allowed to go into the kitchen or they're not allowed to touch food. And that definitely affects period poverty, especially in poorer countries or less developed countries like India or Pakistan, where those cultural and religious stigmas are still very present, that definitely contributes to period poverty. So then I also wanted to explain what menstrual equity is. So this term was coined by Jennifer Weiss Wolf. She wrote this book called Periods Gone Public, Taking a Stand for Menstrual Equity. I bought it and I read it, and that's initially what got me really into like the menstrual movement. So it's a great book. And she originally intended it to work at the policy level, but now the term refers to the affordability and accessibility of menstrual care products, factual and comprehensive education on reproductive health, and access to sanitary facilities. So period poverty is the problem, and menstrual equity is the fix, if you want to see it that way. So I would like to present our first speaker, Alexa Atkinson. Let me see.
Hi. I don't know. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, I'm Alexa Atkinson, and I am the founder of Periods United. So we started about 1.5 years ago in Austin, and now we have chapters in New York and also a chapter in San Antonio. So we have expanded. What we do is we donate menstrual products to different shelters in the area. So that's like our main goal is to do that. We started off just working with homeless shelters, but now we also work with a lot of the foster homes. So believe it or not, like they have, for example, here in Austin, they have a place called the Rainbow Room. And so you would think that they would have menstrual products there, but whenever we went in, we noticed that they had one box and they get like hundreds of kids each month, and so we definitely donate to them. We also donate to this house called the Refuge. So what they do is they take in children who are survivors of sex trafficking. So it's the young of age 8 all the way until 18. So we work really closely with a lot of shelters like that. We also work with schools. So we'll go to different schools in the area, whether it be San Antonio or wherever we are. And what we do is we educate the students on menstrual health and hygiene, as well help different schools that are interested in obtaining menstrual dispensaries on campus. So most shelters that we work with, so we'll go back to that, like most of them don't have any products. Like if you go in, like they'll have like a box and it's basically first come, first serve. So what that leads to is a lot of homeless people or different people using unsanitary products, which I know that we saw in the video. She was using pieces of her shirt. So you can do basically anything they can get their hands on, if it's toilet paper or socks or anything like that. So a lot of these products will lead to, different like some of can even lead to toxic shock syndrome, which we all know can be it's fatal. So so now we work with like just all different types of homes. So we also work with the school. So whenever we go in, like one school that we recently worked with last year was Texas State, and we were able to get free menstrual products into their campus. It was hard. So we're always, willing to help out whoever we just, if you reach out to us. And I know there's other organizations that also do the same thing. But definitely we feel like in all schools that there should be, sorry, that was my son in the background. They should offer free menstrual products. I've talked to multiple different students, let's say, for example, if you're having an exam or anything like that, and, if you start your period right before that, and you don't have products, there's a good chance that you will be missing your exam or have to use toilet paper. And it shouldn't be like that. Like, to me, that is crazy. And I feel like this is something that is a necessity. And unfortunately, we have to pay for it. And like they said in the video, there's a lot of students who are broke. And our goal is definitely to get as many products. Like right now, we're also working with the University of Texas. And we're also working with a couple of high schools in the area and elementary schools as well to definitely make that happen for all of them, because they should offer these in schools, especially in colleges and things like that, where the tuition's already extremely expensive. So something that we have been working on recently is the whole, like with COVID and everything. I know we're all very aware with that, and there's been a lot of like hurricanes and unfortunate events that have happened. 2020 has just been a crazy year. So I know recently with COVID, I know San Antonio was hit really bad. And so they had a lot of people reach out to them. And right now we have products, but we are so limited on them right now just because we've been giving them out. And usually we donate to shelters and just shelters alone. But we've actually had, families reach out to us and, ask us for products. And, because they've lost their jobs because of COVID-19. And it's just really sad to see that, that people aren't able to access these products. Moms will reach out to us looking for their daughters, and, like the San Antonio girls have really covered a lot of that area and have done amazing, amazing things out there. So also with the hurricane that had recently hit, we had just donated products. I know a lot of people were out of their homes and things like that. And there's another one coming too. So hopefully that one won't do any damage. So yeah, so we're trying our best that we can to definitely help out those areas. I know you said like our whole mission was this just help shelters, but it's kind of grown. Like I know period poverty just isn't homeless shelters. I mean, it affects everybody, and especially right now during COVID-19, it's been a crazy year. And so we definitely want to try to help out as many people. Also, I forgot to mention, wanted to say, Andrea, I think it's amazing what you're doing, and all of this wouldn't be possible without you. So, I mean, it's really cool to see young activists stepping up and, making a difference, because it really does. I mean, as many people as we can to end period poverty, as many different groups as we can have, as many different organizations, everybody's making a difference in the world. And I think just supporting one another is just such an amazing thing. So it's really cool that you're doing this. But yeah, so I don't know if anybody had any questions. I know that we're here to help out anybody who wants to get period products in their schools, or if it's a place of work or anything like that. We're definitely here to help you take the steps and what you need to do in order to make that happen. It's easy. It's not hard, but it's not easy. But I mean, we definitely have the steps for you. I don't know if anybody had any questions in regards to that. We also do have an Amazon wish list. I know that we gave to Andrea as well. So we're always taking donations like that, and we give them to different shelters, and we keep people updated on the different shelters that we donate through our Instagram pages and stuff like that. So did anybody, I haven't looked at the chat. Did anybody have any questions on any of that?
Well, I just kind of wanted to hear a little bit about why you founded Periods United. I mean, I know to address period poverty, but how did you initially get into it?
So I actually knew, I think she's in here. Was it Ashley? Are you in here? Yeah, okay. I was like looking through here. So yeah, so Ashley, and then there was a couple of other people, who are also fighting to end period poverty. So I know like they're really big, and I know you'll hear from Ashley too, like in Corpus and stuff like that. So we started like here in Austin, there wasn't anything really like that. And I know Austin is such a big city, you know what I mean? And I mean, there are other ones that I just wasn't aware of. I know that they have Flow Code, and there's a new period group, high school girls, that came about, and I don't know their name at the top of my head, so I do apologize. But just like figuring out from other groups that this was a problem, and then just doing more research. And then, so like what I decided to do from there is I was like, well, I actually want to go, to the shelters. So I went and volunteered to go see kind of what everything was about. And it just kind of shocked me that, like the first thing for the first shelter that I went to, they had just a box, and they were like, yeah, they can just get like, one or two. And in my mind, I was like, what is 1 or 2 tampons going to do? It's nothing. And, some of them are light and stuff like that. And, like, I feel like, we should be able to access period products as easy as we access toilet paper. Like, this shouldn't even be an issue. And then the next shelter that I talked to was the one, and I know this one really, it always makes me emotional talking about it, just because they are little kids and they were ages 8 to 18. So it was a house right outside of Austin, and they take in children who were the survivors of sex trafficking. And, they get donations, like a lot of places donate clothes and different things like that, but nobody really thinks about donating menstrual products. And, whenever we made our first donation to them, we did one thing, and, they were just so excited to receive period products. And to me, that really hit. I'm also really pregnant right now, guys. So I'm also super emotional. But yeah, to me, it was just, little kids to be excited for something like that. Like, you think about your childhood, and the things. I am so pregnant, guys. But it is really sad, and that's the reality of it. You know, a lot of us were very fortunate not to have to think about things like this, and you know, for little kids, that shouldn't be an issue. So that's why I work really hard. And I know everybody who else joined, and you know, like Ashley and Andrea, and then there's the other Andrea in here, a bunch of different people that we know. Like, I just think ending period poverty is just an amazing thing. And I think it's something that we can definitely all accomplish together.
Definitely. So when you started Periods United, how did your family or like friends react?
They were super excited. They had no idea. Most people don't really know about this. They're like, oh, what is that? Like, also breaking the taboo of it. It was so crazy. Like with my dad and uncles and stuff like that, you know, back in the day, it was just something that nobody talked about. So I know like our first big event that we had, we called it Sunday Bloody Sunday, and it was on this main street in Austin, and we had a bunch of restaurants and different companies involved in this, and so they made like themed drinks. So this is 21 and older, but drinks and stuff like that named after period. So they had like, can't think of, like Code Red was the name of one of the drinks and stuff like that. So it was really interesting to actually get like my family, like the guys involved, and getting a lot of my guy friends involved in this, you know, and now it's completely normal to them. Something that they just never wanted to talk about, and they were just kind of ew about. You know, I think it just takes that one person, and it's everybody in here, that one person, and just start talking about it in your family. And, you know, just to break that taboo of it. Like if you have a brother or dad, just be like, hey, period, like periods are normal, you know, and that'll really make an impact. And them, you know, starting to realize like the whole trickle effect. So.
No, thank you so much for like explaining what you do. I see in the chat box someone asked, what do I do when my cousin has a panic attack while on her period? And I think that the only thing you can do for people when they are suffering from panic attack or anxiety is being there for them and trying to be as understanding as possible. Fortunately, like I never really had to go through period poverty. And I have excellent communication with like the women in my lives, but that's not the case for every girl, especially if she's unaware what her period is like. So I think being there to explain and just being understanding is the best thing you can do. So thank you, Grace, for asking a question.
I think I was also going to add, like, like what you said with her,
like she'll start freaking out, telling, like screaming, I'm gonna die, what's going on? And then I go in there and she's saying the room's getting so tiny, it's just scary. So what I do is I just sit, because we have the bathtub on the other side of where the toilet is, so I just sit there and grab her hand and just rub it and try to tell her that it's a bodily thing, it's just a way of growing up, and she's okay about it now, but every once in a while she'll start having that heavy breathing attack.
How old is she, Grace?
She's maybe around, like, she was 15 when it started, and she's 18, and she's still having severe panic attacks.
Does she have, maybe it's something even, like I know a lot of people don't talk about, but there's different, I can't think of the name right now. My name just blanks. If anybody else, what is it where you get really bad cramps and stuff like that? Can somebody from the group? Can't think of the top of my head.
You mean like, I can't think of it either at the moment.
Are you talking about PMS or?
No. There's something that a lot of people suffer from, and they have to take like, I can't think of the name right now, but they have to take like birth control, fibroids? Like the bleedings. What is it?
Fibroids?
Yes. Okay. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's like something like that where it's like she's in a lot of pain. So that's even something that you can even talk to her about, maybe even seeing a doctor. Because I know that's something that we can't really give advice on. Like as far, you know, as anything medical, but maybe, you know, she has really bad cramps or the bleeding is really heavy, and that is something that is extremely scary.
Yeah, what she tells me is she tells me like it starts at her toe whenever it starts, and then it moves up to her thigh, and then sometimes up to her, like her back.
Andrea, do you have anything else? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would think maybe just like, yeah, just being there for her, like the other Andrea said, or just maybe even like talking to a doctor, because it could be something medical, and that's definitely something, you know, that you want to check out. Like, you know, you don't want to take any risk with anything like that because it's your body, you know, and that could be, we never know, it could be something more than just, you know, panic attacks and things like that, which cause panic attacks. But definitely that would be my advice.
Okay, thank you so much for everyone and their questions. I think definitely bringing attention to menstrual health is really important. It's always important to go to your doctor, especially if something like that is happening. So this is the next video. This is the last video. I only have 2 in here. And this one, what is it called? They're actors. Okay, this is not like real, but it is real for a lot of girls, okay? And this video is actually about period poverty in the UK. And I was trying to find one that applied to the US because that's where a lot of us are. But what I realized is that period poverty, some people might have the misconception that it only occurs in less developed countries and poorer countries. And that's really not the case, because if this is happening in the UK and the US, it can really happen to anyone. So I thought this was also a really good film. And this girl, she's playing the role of a student in school. And I think period poverty definitely affects a lot of students. It can prevent them from going to class, taking their exams, participating in extracurriculars, or doing after school work. So I thought it was a really good video. Let me see.
Can't seem to hear it.
We can't hear it.
Okay. Can you hear it now?
No, we can't hear it.
Okay. Were you all able to hear the first video?
Yes.
Okay. Let me see.
Okay, I can hear it now.
No, I never said anything. Yeah, I pulled part when we were on the ride. You were on the bus. I don't see we paid for the last one. Yeah, but you can pay for the second time. You can pay for the second time. I play it on the PC. See what's up. Yeah, the bus is coming, isn't All right. You've got a mark.
Mark?
No, like a mark. You know, on your I weren't looking around. I just thought I'd tell you. Look here, just use this. Sorry. So, Sarah says you've not been in class for a bit.
I'm sorry, love. You know, I've been working doubles, but we had the meter need topping up and it's just a bit tight again this month, so.
Chloe, I'm making do as well. We'll sort something next month.
I promise.
Yeah, that's stuff, huh?
Right, yeah, same. You'll be alright, yeah? My sister, she was like, you know, like the same. Anyway, don't worry about the jumper. Shut up, what's that? Nothing. Yeah, get me the jumper. No, it's not my jumper. It's your cousin's jumper. You don't love me, I'm not trying to.
Hey, we're supposed to be watching a video, right?
We can't get
But
it.
we can't get it on.
We can't hear you talking.
What? Oh, they can't hear us talking.
Okay, but we can't even see the video.
Can you hear me talking?
I believe they stopped sharing the screen.
Yes, I stopped sharing the screen. But can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Now we can.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen again. Like I said, that was just one of the videos that I had seen that also brought attention to period poverty.
I won't.
So yeah, I think that was another really impactful video. I think for me, it was realizing that this is something that doesn't affect, or it affects people who don't necessarily have the money to be spending each month on menstrual products, but it can happen in the United States. It can happen in the UK. And the United States has very similar statistics to the ones that were shown in the video. Okay, now give me 1 second to share my screen again. Let's see. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and have our speakers from the Texas Menstrual Equity Coalition go ahead and talk. So.
Hello. My name is Pritika Paramisvam. I'm one of the organizers with Texas Menstrual Equity Coalition. I am a sophomore neuroscience and sociology major at the University of Texas at Austin. And I'm also part of a couple different organizations, like the Texas Menstrual Equity Coalition, and then also the Deeds Not Words organization to really express the message of menstrual equity and reduce period poverty in Texas and work to create that community, as well as work more closely with the admin and people and the students of the university to get free period products on campus.
Hi, my name is Ashley Arevalo. I'm from Corpus Christi. I entered the menstrual equity space in November of 2016. I was a part of a national organization, but now I'm branching out to start my own organization. Our name is Crimson Cause, and one of my, I guess, greatest accomplishments in the menstrual equity space has been getting free menstrual products at the university I graduated from, which is Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi. And I also have a podcast called Good Rebel Podcast. I'm just gonna do a shameless plug because why not? But yeah.
Hi everybody. So my name is Saranna Zhang, and I'm 16 years old, and I'm currently a junior in high school in the Houston, Texas area. I'm the founder of a community organization in Houston called the Period Pact, and we're another sort of menstrual equity focused organization, and our entire board is high schoolers from Houston and the surrounding suburbs. And I'm really glad to be here today and to have been able to be a part of the coalition. And we've done a lot of work in the past year, including organizing a rally and holding a big product drive that we raised over 4,000 individual products for various shelters around Houston, and also some lobbying that we've done that we'll talk about in a sec. But yeah, thank you for having us.
So how the Texas Menstrual Equity Coalition began was there's 7 of us who are like working together, like organizing in the background, but the 6 of us met through a policy boot camp, and essentially we wanted to create a space where like all the menstrual equity leaders and people who are advocating for period poverty have a space to talk to each other and navigate this space together, and also share their experience and expertise. We felt like the boot camp allowed us to communicate with people from different parts of Texas. And so we just wanted to grow that and allow people to communicate as well. And one of the, like, I guess, parts of our coalition is how we're not really a hierarchical space. We don't really have a really established board because it allows us to like navigate the issues that we want to, and then also allows us to move freely and do the projects that we want to. So that's something that we also really identify with.
So we have a few overall goals for this coalition, kind of like Pritika said. Our main thing is to build a supportive community of activists. No matter if you're an individual, an organization, or whatever, it's just a space for you to be a part of and for you to be able to gain, you know, a network of connections across Texas with people who are really experienced in the space, as well as people who are new in the space. And we are all united by this passion for fighting for menstrual equity and for activism in general. And so by building this network, we want to increase impact, participation, and of course, outreach. Another thing is to foster political involvement. A lot of things we do are nonpartisan or supposedly supposed to be bipartisan legislation, because what we focus on is obviously the tampon tax and legislation that would be focused on relieving period poverty. And so it's been a great resource for me to get involved at a younger age and as a high school student, and to be able to reach out to lawmakers and and talk to people, which I think can be kind of a daunting task, but it really breaks down the systems, and through it, a lot of us have learned a lot of new things about how the Texas legislature works, how the budget works, etc. So it's been a great resource all around as an activist, not just in this space. And of course, as we said, create a network and provide opportunities. The organizations that we have as a part of this coalition are always doing their own thing as well. They're always hosting independent discussions, product drives, etc. And so it's just a great way to stay up to date on what other people are doing and find more opportunities to get involved. And finally, to educate our communities and our lawmakers on why menstrual equity matters through panels just like this one. And we also have monthly meetings to just discuss, and obviously the events I mentioned earlier to promote this message of menstrual equity and how you can fight for it and why you should care about it.
So one of the main things that we've been doing for the past 6 months is contacting state representatives. And if you want to contact your local representative, the first thing that you need to remember is that they work for the people. I think we always put politicians on a pedestal and we think that they're so like far out of reach, but what they do is they're public servants. They're supposed to listen to us. They're supposed to listen to our concerns. So it's up to us to use our voice and let them know that we want the tampon tax abolished, that we want a new park in our neighborhood, just anything. So especially since I'm guessing most of the people here are very young, it's very important to start doing this now. It doesn't matter if you're young, they still have to listen to you. They might not agree with you, but they have to listen to you. So Andrea Elizondo, she'll be speaking later, but she mentioned on an interview that I did with her on my podcast that there was a state representative that he voted no on a bill only because there was 12 people in his district that told him not to. And that's just 12 people. There's more people on this call. Just imagine if you get 12 of your friends to, voice their opinion about things going on in your community. So I have this website listed here. It's Who Represents Me. It's really easy. All you have to do is type in your address and it shows them, it shows all the legislators that represent you, and from there you can go onto their website. There's a few different ways to contact legislators. You can call them, you can email them, you can write letters, which is what we've been doing lately in Zoom meetings because of the pandemic. And you can also visit their office, which is something that I don't recommend doing now, obviously. But when you call them, the state legislator or whoever, they're not going to answer, so you don't have to be too nervous. It's usually going to be a staffer. I like to do email just because I hate talking on the phone, but yeah, there are a bunch of different ways to do it. So the past 6 months, we've met with around 30 to 40 legislators, and we've even had a meeting with the Women's Health Caucus, which is a group of legislators that are devoted to helping women's health causes. So when we go to these meetings, they're pretty brief. They're like 15 to 25 minutes. We've never had a meeting that was over an hour. It's just unheard of. But they were scary at first, but once we started doing them, we got used to it, and it's almost second nature to us now. So at these meetings, we usually present them facts about period poverty because we realize that these legislators don't really know a lot about it. They know like the basics, but it really helps to give them those numbers because they're really daunting. We usually go over our goals as a coalition, and then it ends with a Q&A with the representative. We usually ask them if they're going to support a bill to end the tampon tax, why they think the bill failed in the past legislative sessions. So, and then we usually ask for a statement of support at the end. If you go to our Instagram, the TXME coalition, you'll see like videos from Rep. Donna Howard, Jean Wu, and we like to use those videos to post on our social media to show their support.
Now, we also wanted to highlight some of the disparities in menstrual equity. So I think we spoke and watched a couple of videos about like the socioeconomic disparities, which are just like the money not being able to afford products. I think these facts were mentioned, but I think I'll say them again. like 25% of teens have missed class because of a lack of period products. 61% have had to wear a tampon or pad for more than 4 hours, which is not ideal at all. And because they weren't able to afford or access period products. And then 20% have struggled to afford period products or were not able to purchase them at all. These are all issues like that are related to how like period products cost money and how we need to purchase them when in reality they should be something that is accessible and in every bathroom for everyone. So something else I wanted to touch on was like the racial and ethnic disparities. It's important that we talk about and understand how menstrual equity affects different ethnic groups and how it's necessary to talk about the Black, Indigenous, and people of color and how to include them in your conversations about menstrual equity and how the BIPOC population like goes through different experiences with menstrual equity. And studies have shown that African American women suffer fibroids 2 to 3 times more than white women. So it's important to understand how that also can play into the stigma and how people access their period products. And then finally, I wanted to touch on like gender disparities. I think it's really easy to come into a menstrual equity or period poverty space and assume and make an assumption that only women or girls are using period products, but it's important to understand that there are people of non-binary identity as well as trans men or LGBTQ identity who have different experiences with menstrual equity, and it's necessary to include them and make them feel validated and reduce the stigma that can be coming from that community as well. So just that not only women and not all women are menstruators. So I think it's important to talk about these issues and understand them in order to like operate and in this space in an effective manner to include everyone in the conversation.
I'm sorry, I don't think I was unmuted. But before we get to Andrea, I just wanted to give everyone an opportunity to ask questions. So we'll take a look at the chat box. Let me see.
In the meantime,
go ahead, Mireya.
In the meantime, while you guys can ask questions, we recommend that you ask it right now. Code Red, the team Code Red, came up with some questions for the Tex-Mex Coalition to kind of answer. So we'd love if you can answer these few questions. The first one is, what is the most common issue you find in low-income communities regarding period poverty?
Do y'all mind if I answer? Okay. I think the main issue why period poverty in general is a thing is because there's no education. And that leads to stigma. So people are scared of talking about it. So I would say the main thing is what we learn in school, like our sex ed isn't good. I don't even remember what I was taught in middle school about sex ed, you know? So I barely know how my body works. So I think that is probably one of the main issues is there is no education, and that leads to people being ashamed of their periods, which leads them to not ask about, you know, where can I get menstrual products, or I don't have enough money. So I would say that is probably the main issue.
Also, like to add on to what Ashley, it goes in the same thing, but like just like how she said, like education, also like taboo, like we had talked about earlier, like as far as like even with everybody in your family, just, you know, when people are so afraid to talk about it, like that's why it's all of our responsibility, you know, because I mean, think about like a little kid who had just started their period and like they're afraid if they're just growing up with like with one, you know, just their mom or just their dad alone, you know, and them being afraid to even ask about it. So that's also adding like top of that, like the education, just even starting from home too, just the whole taboo on it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with like the education and taboo. I know at my school we didn't really discuss sex ed. So if you don't know, you don't have the power of what you can do. So I'm really happy that you brought that. Another question we have is, what is your action plan that you are implementing in your communities? So
I guess I can take this one real quick. So As kind of a youth organization, we have been doing a lot of our normal events online. We're relatively new as well, so it was kind of a difficult adjustment. Our action plan as a coalition is, of course, to keep meeting with legislators and to keep talking to people and to keep basically just putting our message out there. So more people will sign on to this bill that we're trying to get passed. And there are other things in the works that hopefully can take us to other avenues to ending this tampon tax in Texas. For my organization in Houston, we've been holding virtual discussions on Zoom, kind of like this, and they've just been very open and casual forums where, just last week we had a bring a non-menstruator discussion where we asked everybody who participated to bring a non-menstruator with them. And then they asked us questions, we asked them questions. It was just a very open forum. And so our main goal right now is to keep having those conversations and to break down the social stigma. And hopefully when things become a little bit safer to have person-to-person contact, we'll start holding smaller drives and socially distanced packing parties and things like that to make a direct impact by donating products to schools and shelters that need them.
Yeah, communication is key. And I really like what you said that, having discussions, I think that's super important. So
well, can I go ahead?
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys mentioned that your goal is repealing the tampon tax. For those, for the people listening who don't know what the tampon tax is, could you explain it?
Yeah. Is it good if I take this one? Okay, so the tampon tax is the sales tax that is on a menstrual product when you buy it, and it's just called the tampon tax, even though it's on like all menstrual products like pads and other things as well. And so the sales tax, we view it as a discriminatory tax since it is a health issue, and it is something that people have to buy to like be healthy and live. So we want to get rid of this tax. And so that's why we've been speaking to legislators and like recently senators to move this, like getting rid of the tampon tax in order to just make this a more equitable and affordable way to buy products.
There are also like 33 states, not just Texas. I know that they know that, but anybody else who doesn't know that. So if like y'all know anybody in other states, like reach out to these girls and stuff like that as well, and tell them how people can get it started in their other states as well, because it's not just Texas. Like it's crazy that there are that many states, where they don't consider this like it's just mind blowing.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely, if y'all know anybody, any of the other people in here, reach out to any of these girls.
Can I also expand on this just a little bit more? I think something interesting that people don't really know about is often we take these routes through, I guess, the official way to get legislation passed, like lobbying lawmakers, talking to them, getting them to write legislation. Something that happened in, I think, Michigan was that they actually sued the state of Michigan for violating their constitution, which of course bans discrimination based on sex and gender. It's the same thing in Texas. Technically, we could argue that this violates the Equal Protection Clause in the Texas Constitution. So I also just want to make sure people know that when things like this break down, because this has been something that's been around for so long and it really should not have been, people will find a way to get this issue solved, and there are people out there fighting for this. So I encourage you to get involved in any way you can and to contribute however possible.
Thank you. I have one more question. I think this should be the last one. What do you believe is the most pressing concern that needs to be addressed regarding women's rights?
This is really loaded.
Can you say that one more time? I was trying to
what do you think? What do you believe is the most pressing concern that needs to be addressed regarding women's rights? I can do another one because that one is really loaded. I agree. I'm sorry.
I have a question.
No, I think we can address it, but yeah, sorry.
Okay, so do you guys want to take that question? We have the time.
I think I think when somebody goes, I think we can all, jump in.
I guess I'll give a quick little, I don't know. I think it also depends on what part of the world you live in and what your social circumstances are. If we speak specifically about the United States and not necessarily in a global context, I think one of the most pressing things, of course, is like legislation like the tampon tax, as well as um, just kind of societal standards and the way that we treat women and view women, as well as the way that we treat gender in general. Um, but I think that the biggest threat right now to the equality that we do have is overturning Roe v. Wade and the entire conversation around abortion and being pro-choice or pro-life. I'm not to express my personal opinions on this. I just think that conversation is something that is truly, if it takes a certain direction, is going to be a step backwards in all the progress we've made in gender equality in this country. So that to me is one of the biggest things. And of course, the tampon tax and basically healthcare in general and achieving equality in healthcare and bodily autonomy.
Yeah, that was a really great answer. Is there any questions in the chat box, Andrea, that you saw?
Well, I just had one more question. Since you all, or since we all deal a lot with, introducing or removing the idea of menstrual stigma, when do you think parents or guardians should start having that conversation with their kids?
I think that I can take this unless somebody else wants to. I think literally, like, I have a son and he's 8 years old, well, about to be 8, and he already knows about periods, things like that. I mean, as early as you can. And I feel like if you have a boy or girl, whoever, it shouldn't be something they're worried about. Like, he goes to events with me, he goes to packing parties and stuff with me, and he's 7 years old, and it just shows, for me raising him, my goal is for him not to be afraid and to look at people differently because they have a period. Or, growing up, a lot of guys would be like, that's disgusting. Like, don't want him raised like that. It's so natural. I think like as soon as they start talking, and I know we do it not even realizing, but hiding tampons, like you'll say we'll go to the bathroom and stuff with family members and we'll just take our purse or put the tampon like in our sleeve or something like that. Like, we shouldn't do that. We should be like, hey, like, I'm going to the bathroom, and it should be completely normal. So I think as young as you can, like as soon as they start talking, just make it normal. Like, people go to the bathroom, they have, it's the most normal thing.
Okay, well, I think that was great for questions. I think you had a really good answer to that. I definitely think Monica in the chat box mentioned that destigmatization needs to start in the family and with teachers. Luckily, a lot of female teachers, in my experience, have been really, I don't know how to say, really supportive of girls whenever they get their period. And I know that a few of my teachers have had like a box of pads under their desk and stuff like that to support girls. And I know the nurse's office has always had pads and stuff like that. But I definitely think it starts with the family, especially if you're raising boys, because gender equality starts from there. So I think it's something that they need to learn to be comfortable with. So thank you for everyone for participating. Our next speaker is going to be Andrea Elizondo, so I'll let her take the mic.
Hi, everyone. I'm the other Andrea in this workshop that will be speaking. So to start off, I'm the Advocacy and Outreach Operations Director for Menstrual Flux. Menstrual Flux is a small nonprofit based in Houston, Texas. We basically, our main mission is to supply menstrual products to those who don't have access to them, and also to break the stigma on periods through advocacy and education. We started off with, it was founded by my friend Melissa, who's actually known as the Tampon Fairy by her close group of friends and just other community members, which I think is very cute, by the way. And she's still the executive director. We're both doing this like on a volunteer basis. We have like our own full-time gigs outside of this. So we started off by putting donation boxes and coffee shops throughout the Houston area. And then we also had bars or any businesses that were welcome to the idea of it. And we donated to shelters. But during COVID, we had to change our service delivery model, which has expanded our reach. So what we've been doing during COVID-19 has been, we've been mailing period kits to anyone that has put in a request through Google form, all free, including shipping. And our period kits have like an assortment of products. So they have tampons, pads, you name it. We did provide menstrual cups that were donated by the June Cup for a little bit, and they're going to give us another donation soon. So we have been mailing these period kits throughout the greater Houston region, throughout the great state of Texas, and also nationwide. Since we started delivering the kits through mail, we have sent about 2,200 menstrual products in total. And there's still need. We still have a lot of people unemployed, and we still get requests every single week. Besides providing menstrual product kits, we also get involved with advocacy efforts. I'm one of the organizers with the Texas Menstrual Equity Coalition as well. So that's how I involved Menstrual Flux. But also, this past summer, I provided public testimony on behalf of Menstrual Flux at the Texas State Board of Education to give public testimony in favor of comprehensive and inclusive sex ed, because I believe a proper menstrual equity starts with education, and that starts with sex ed. And if you don't talk about sex ed, or most people are not going to be exposed to periods at all. So there's that. And then also, Andrea also wanted me to talk to you all about the Texas State Legislature, which we refer to as the Texas Ledge. The only reason I know about Texas Ledge is because I used to be a policy analyst back in the legislative session of 2017. So that's the only reason why I'm so immersed with all this knowledge. And I'm still not the expert. And that's completely okay. Always be humble and open to learn about different things. And be surprised, and like that's how you gain new strategies. So to just start off, the Texas Ledge, it's basically, the way I can describe it, each state has a state legislature, and the way I can describe it is like each state has like their own Congress, because there's a U.S. Congress in D.C., but each state has their own miniature Congress, and it's usually located in the capital. Our state is not like other states. Our state legislature meets every other year for only 5 months, which basically that's not a lot of time to pass new laws. And new laws are passed through bills. And it's a very complicated process to even get those bills passed and signed by the governor. We have 150 state representatives and 32 state senators. And I gave an example back in the 86th session, which was in 2019, which was from January to May. The next session will be in 2021, starting this upcoming January, and it will last until May. So in 2019, there was 10,877 bills that were filed, but only 4,581 bills were signed into law. Our system is more meant, it's easier to kill bills than to pass law. That's how the system was designed. And the biggest battleground to get anything passed is committees. And committees is the next phase. After your bill gets introduced and filed, it will get assigned to a committee. And committees is where people can provide public testimony on whether they're in favor, against, or neutral on a bill. There are several more committees in the Texas House, and there's much more less committees in the Texas Senate because there's only 32 state senators versus 150 state representatives. And it's very crucial to get your bill committee hearing the sooner the better during the beginning part of the session, because it can die on deadline. And that's how the tampon tax bill, House Bill 311 from the 2019 session died. It did get a hearing, but it got a hearing 2 weeks before the deadline that it took to the deadline to pass the bill by the House chamber. So that on deadline. And then 2017, when I was there in session, the tampon tax didn't get a hearing. So that's a small victory, getting the hearing. And in advocacy, you have to think about advocacy as a marathon. And it's the small victories that get you going. And also to talk about the major big players. So the big players, let me start with the big three, who are referred to as the Speaker, the Lieutenant Governor, and the Governor. So the Speaker of the House, they're the main leader within the Texas State House. They set the mood for the House. They appoint committee chairs. They appoint committee membership. They can make new committees as well. And they get to decide which bill goes to which committee. So the House is their chessboard. And then also the Speaker is elected within the state representatives. So what that means, this upcoming January, the first day of session, the state representatives, after they get sworn in for the new session, they will vote on who will be their next speaker for that session. And then you have the Lieutenant Governor, who currently is Dan Patrick. They run on a 4-year terms, and they're known as the President of the Senate. And like the Speaker, they also assign which bills goes to which committees. They assign committee leadership, committee membership. They also make committees. And then you have the governor, who's Governor Greg Abbott, who in my opinion doesn't have that much power according to the state constitution. The only legislative power he has is to sign bills and to call for special legislative session. And what special legislative session is, because according to our state constitution, the state meets every other year for 5 months. They have to do that in order to pass a budget for the state. But if the governor can call a different special session randomly out of nowhere, if they wanted to. And then the other big players that play a very crucial role into passing legislation or killing legislation will be committee chairs, because committee chairs can decide which bills get a hearing and which bills get voted out of committee. And then another committee that's very important in the process is the calendars committee, which is the third phase of where a bill goes to. Calendars committee, they decide on what day a bill gets a hearing on the House floor or the Senate floor. So when you're thinking about advocacy, you have to think of all the major leadership and try to get your passion into their agenda item for that session. Because when they are in agreement with you, you are more likely to be successful. I think that's all that I have for like the beginning introduction of Texas Leg. So you're free to ask me any questions. I don't think any question is dumb. I think policy and like learning about your government can be very complicated and sometimes daunting. So feel free to ask any type of questions that you have.
Well, thank you, Andrea, for speaking. I definitely know that me in particular, I think reaching out to like state representatives can be kind of scary because like it was mentioned before, we kind of do put politicians on a pedestal and they kind of seem out of our reach, but they are supposed to be representing us. So I think especially for all of us younger people in this Zoom meeting, since we can't vote, this is probably one of the best ways to reach out and voice our opinions. So I just kind of wanted to get an idea. You didn't get to talk much about where you went to school, but I know that you got 3 degrees, which is really impressive. Congratulations. But I kind of
Thank
wanted
you.
to hear about your education and your experience as a policy analyst.
Sure. I got my bachelor's in liberal studies and political science. And then I did this crazy idea that I went into grad school right afterwards. And not only did I go into grad school, I did a dual degree uh, program. So I got my master's of social work and my master's of public policy at the same time. And all my degrees were at the University of Houston. Thanks to the University of Houston, they provided me internships to work in the city of Houston during my undergrad years. And then also they connected me to work with a state representative during the 2017 session and earn internship credit and college credit for grad school while also being paid for the work that I was doing as a policy analyst. The way I can describe my experience working in Texas Ledge, it was the best but hardest experience I've ever had in regards to professional experience, because it was like completely different culture, super fast paced. That was the first time where I had to learn how to navigate sexism and racism, because most of the people that elected in state legislature happen to be old white men. So learning how to navigate that, trying to have a poker face, because my face is very expressful. If you see something messed up, you're gonna know it. Like it's gonna show all over my face. But thanks to that experience, it like opened my eyes to how things actually get done. And the way things get done in politics is through relationships. Whether that's passing the bill, killing the bill, you need relationships. You need good relationships to partner up with people to do that, because it takes more than one person to get anything done.
Definitely. I know that in your short bio that you mentioned that you came from a single parent household. And I think that for a lot of people my age, they come from parents who are either divorced or broken families. So I kind of wanted to hear a little bit about how coming from a single parent household, I guess, affected the way you see period poverty.
Well, definitely. Growing within a single parent household with my mom, we had to be very knowledgeable of like how much supplies we had left. So the way I navigated that during junior high and high school, because from what I know, most schools provide menstrual products to their students if they ask for it and if they go to the nurse's office. However, the products are not ideal. They're super uncomfortable and they just generally suck. When I was running low on menstrual products at home, and I know I needed, and I still had more days on my period, what I did, I had to go to the nurse's office and request products, and I used their products during school during the day, and then I used my products at home at night or during the weekend. So that's how I made my products last, because of that extra resource from school.
No, I think that's an experience a lot of students have. So definitely like the way we see in videos, even parents who are working like multiple jobs or they take on multiple shifts, it can still be hard to afford menstrual products. Does anyone else have any questions in the chat box? Let me take a look. Or does Mireya have any questions? I know that Mireya is interested in pursuing politics and she's also interested in political science.
Sorry. Hi, yeah, I'm kind of a poli-sci major. So I really thought, I just really wanted to thank you for kind of, breaking down, because a lot of these aspects of government and policy are kind of very complicated to understand, like you said. So I think just by introducing this, not only to me, but to other women, just to kind of understand and see, I forgot how the sausage is made. I think that's what they say. But yeah, I mean, I personally don't have any questions right now, but I'll look in the chat box.
Okay. So Andrea, is there any other way do you recommend that people who can't yet vote can get involved with policy making?
Definitely, first is always find out who represents you and reach out to whoever represents you within state government, US Congress, even city council. A good thing to remember is that, let's say, this other state that you dream of has like all these amazing policies, and you're like, why don't we have that here? You can actually start that conversation locally within your area. I see small local governments as small laboratories for democracy. So if you can get it accomplished within your local community, your community will be an example to set forward. So definitely reach out to your legislator, get to establish a relationship, foster that relationship, talk about the issues that you care about and that you see in your community. They're supposed to listen to you. You're still a constituent, even if you don't vote yet. You influence your parents, you influence your neighbors, you influence your family, friends.
Definitely.
I actually do have one question, because I know there is like usually a lot of hype around federal elections. So I was wondering if you could kind of elaborate the importance of local elections, because I feel like sometimes people forget to vote locally and they focus on like federal elections. You kind of get what I mean?
Yes. Usually people tend to focus a lot on federal elections, especially during presidential years. I think people just have a misunderstanding that there's more to government than just your president. Your president cannot fit a pothole on your street. Like, that's way out of his jurisdiction. That's more of someone that you should talk to your council member to get someone from city maintenance to do that, or city, county, and roads to do that. First is just acknowledging and getting to learn more of what's out there. And mostly you don't get to be exposed to that unless it's through somebody else, or you're facing an issue and you're really stubborn about it. You want to get it solved, and you talk to every single person until someone listens to you. And then like when people reach out to me about, well, what do? I just know about the presidencies and that's it. I usually first give them the link to find their representatives and then work down the ballot from there. Like, get to know their bio. Are they actually from your community? Do they actually live in your community? Just because they represent you in US Congress does not mean they actually live in your district. And if your representative does not live in your district, how can they relate to you and your community?
Definitely. I definitely think that younger people now more than ever are deciding to get involved with politics and social issues. And I think definitely as younger people, we can influence adults in our lives, especially our parents. So I think it's equally important for adults and people who are old enough to vote to be educated, but as well as young people. Something like a statistic that not a statistic, but something that I remembered about the tampon tax was that there are certain items that are considered tax-free, one of those being cowboy boots in Texas. And as much as I like wearing cowboy boots, I'd much rather pay less at the checkout line. So definitely, I think there needs to be an emphasis on why menstrual products are medical necessities. For a while, you could not purchase menstrual products using like government funded programs like food stamps and stuff like that. So I definitely think it's time in Texas for us to finally remove the tampon tax. So yeah, thank you so much, Andrea, for speaking. I really appreciate it. I think you have some really valuable knowledge, especially for younger people who are interested in getting involved with policy.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been fun. And anyone's welcome to reach out to me. I'll drop down my Instagram accounts. And if you have any questions, whether that's about college, grad school, policy, advocacy, or whatever, you're more than welcome to feel free to reach out to me.
Great. So the next thing is creating the period packs. Now, a period pack is basically a bag. I'm sure you should have one. And then 6 sanitary pads and 9 tampons. And usually, I know that Periods United hosts packing parties. Do you think you could talk about that, Miss Atkinson?
Yeah, so we definitely do that. So what we do is we'll get the bags, because like I said, whenever you go into shelters, they'll just do a box and they'll throw pads and tampons in there. And for us, whenever we saw that, we're like, well, you know, people shouldn't be fighting over pads and tampons. So what we do to make it feel more special is we'll get like a brown bag and we'll write a little note on there for them, you know, saying anything like, you know, happy period, or just like stuff that's positive, you know, because we know your period sucks. And, you know, it's good to see like happy little, like as cheesy it is, you know, it works and people love it. And you can even put like, you know, love Girl Scouts or love whatever group you're part of. And so we do put those, so whenever we give it to them, they're not fighting for it. They have their own personal bag, their own products, pads and tampons to choose from, and that's a whole cycle's worth right there too. We even have people trade. Some people prefer tampons and tampons who are the shelters together, and they'll just switch out tampons and pads with each other. So it works that way, a lot better.
Yeah, so I definitely encourage everyone to make a period pack right now. We have about 15 minutes to do that. So you can send your period packs to Periods United at this address, or if you are a Girl Scout in the South Texas area, there is going to be a drop-off box outside of the Girl Scout office in Harlingen that you can take your donation to. The box should be outside and you can just leave it there. I will be going to pick that up and then sending it over to Periods United so they can then distribute them to shelters and people in need. There's also an Amazon list if you'd prefer to donate that way. The link is here at the bottom, but there's also this QR code that you can scan that'll take you to the website. You can just scan it through your phone. So yeah, this past quarantine, because I don't know the seasons anymore, Code Red was able to gather donations of about $300. And so we're really excited to be donating to Periods United. I think that this is a great cause, and I think it's a cause that we definitely need to promote, especially during COVID-19, because periods don't stop for a pandemic. More than ever, they've been losing their jobs. There's a lot of unemployment, and it's not unreasonable to think that people can't afford these necessities right now. And especially with the hurricanes and the tropical storms that Texas has been experiencing in particular. I know that a lot of people from Louisiana recently were displaced, and they're in Texas right now that definitely need products. And then we continued to get tropical storms, and there's another one on its way. So we would really, really appreciate it if you could go ahead and donate a period pack. If you'd like to donate more than one, that'd also be great. And like I said, you can either send or take your donation to either of these places. So I'll give you all about 15 minutes. The next thing that we're going to move on to is writing our letters. So I'll give you some time. If anyone has any questions for any of our speakers, you can go ahead and drop them in the chat. I think, have the Instagram handles been put in the chat? I think they have. Yeah, they're here. If you weren't prepared, that's okay. I saw another Andrea in the chat box. If you don't have the donations now, that's perfectly fine. For a few days, the donation box will be out in front of the building. So you can do this today or you can do it tomorrow. That's completely up to you. But we'd still really appreciate it if you donate.
Did you want me to put the Amazon in the chat box?
Yes, could you put the link to it?
Yeah, let me.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, there's the link in the chat box in case you would like to donate from the Amazon list. So that's another option if you'd still like to make a donation, but maybe not create a period pack. For the Girl Scouts on the Zoom call, if you'd like, you can write like what troop you're from on the bag so that the people receiving the donations know who it's from. I tried to think of like period product drives the same way as drives for like canned food and things like that because they are a necessity and people need them. So please consider donating. I'd really appreciate it. I really want to say thank you to everyone who's joined the Zoom call. This is a cause that's near and dear to my heart, and I've taken a lot of time in reaching out to people. It's been difficult for sure, especially because of the pandemic, but like I said earlier, periods don't stop for pandemics and neither should community service. So I'm really happy that for everyone that decided to show up. And I want to say thank you to all of my speakers who also agreed to speak, especially Miss Atkinson. We've talked a lot and I really appreciate your guidance. My advisor who just left the Zoom call, Sarah Mercado, she has been advising me this since May, and she was a National Gold Award Girl Scout in 2018, who got her Gold Award for creating a program that teaches women and girls in Bolivia how to create reusable pads. So she's been guiding me, and even though she's no longer here, I think there's a lot to learn from everyone who's been taking action against period poverty and promoting menstrual equity. So I'm gonna let the time continue for the period packs, and then we'll get started on the letter writing.
I don't know if you can hear that, but that's my dog sleeping. He's so loud.
Alright.
While everyone is either creating a period pack or hopefully donating, I just wanted to mention that the recording of this event is going to be available on the Code Red website. If you look through, everyone should have gotten an email from Eventbrite. It should have the details of the Code Red website. So the recording will be up there in case you either want to look back on it or send it to somebody else. So it's going to be on there. I know that some Girl Scouts had asked if there is going to be like a fun patch involved. As of right now, I don't know. But if that's something that you'd be interested in getting, there is a survey that was emailed to all of the attendees. And so on there, if you are interested in possibly getting a fun patch for this event, go ahead and let me know. The purpose of the survey is just so that I can get a feel for how well I did, so that hopefully if I decide to host another one, I can do better. So that's about it.
There's my dog snoring really, really loud in my ear. Can y'all hear it? It's like a 2-year-old. It's gonna, because he's so loud.
Since I do know that some people have to go, I'm going to go ahead and go on to the next slide, which is just some information on letter writing. I'm hoping that everyone who attended will be writing a letter to their state representative. So in the email that you should have gotten from Eventbrite, there is one specifically that has details and instructions for how to write a letter to your state representative. So writing a letter or sending an email is definitely a great way to show your support for a specific issue. And you get to convey your support to the people who represent you. And so because I can't vote, and a lot of people my age cannot vote, this is probably like one of the only ways that we can express our opinions this way. Today, I would like you to ask your representatives to support repealing the tampon tax, also known as the sales tax applied to sanitary menstrual products. So this is pads, tampons, and cups, so etc. And encourage your state representatives to take action against period poverty. So Texas does have a tampon tax, but like there was previously mentioned, there are some states that don't, New York being one of them. So depending on where you're from, definitely do your research. Some general instructions. So the Code Red website is typed out right here. So if you go here, there's a tab on the header that says Advocacy Resources. And if you scroll down to the letter to state representative template and click on letter writing template, it'll give you a PDF. I took some screenshots of the PDF. This is not the whole thing. There's more information on it. So if you do not know who your state rep is, you can visit this website, and given your zip code, it should be able to get you their name and contact information. So my recommendation is that you don't have to follow this template to a T. I think the best thing that you can do is use personal experiences when writing to your state representative or any legislator, because it makes the letter more impactful. Always properly address whoever you're writing to and introduce yourselves. Explain why that state legislator should listen to you. Whether you're a voter, are you a student in their district? Do you have connections? So definitely also make clear the time to introduce, pass, or support this policy. And if you're comfortable doing so, you can add your contact information at the end of the letter so that someone can reach out to you. When addressing the envelope, I included a picture here. Refer to the lawmaker as the honorable and then their name. This is just an example, but this is where your return address goes. So your name and your address, and then your stamp. So this is, like I said, a template that I created. You don't have to follow it exactly, but I do encourage you to either write a letter or send an email, because it's one of the best ways to show support. So if you can do that on my behalf, that would be great. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for your time. Like I said earlier, please check your emails for a survey of the event, so that hopefully if I do host another one of these, that I can get better. And I just want to know that I did educate someone. So thank you so much for your time. I'm going to end the meeting now. And thank you to all the speakers who were here. Are you all comfortable taking a picture on Zoom? You can let me know in the chat.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Oh, I need to get comfortable first.
Are you done with your Zoom?
We're gonna take a picture real quick.
Okay.
Okay, so I'd appreciate it if you could turn on your cameras, and unless you're not comfortable doing so, that's fine. But I'll just be taking a screenshot of this right here.
Yeah, don't mind my hoodie.
So when I say 3, I'm going to be taking the picture. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, I got it. So thank you all so much for attending. I really appreciate it.